Well, big breaking news which is coming in right now from Afghanistan. There's a president's address which is expected in about 5 to 10 minutes from now as per the local media. Now, it is going to be very interesting to see what really President Ghani has to say. It is speculated that he may even offer to resign. What we are picking up is that Taliban has been increasingly taking more and more control of Afghanistan, most of its lands, and now it's headed towards, inching towards Kabul. As per some of the local reports, they are even saying that they are as close as 15 kilometers away from Kabul, that within a few days itself, Kabul could also fall to the Taliban. What we do know now is that the Afghan president is expected to address the media shortly. At least that's what the Afghan reports are now telling us. We'll have to wait and see what Ashraf Ghani has to say. Local media reports say that he may offer to resign in the midst of the way that Taliban has been taking control and the Afghan forces have been pushed back in a massive manner. Unfortunate bit of news which has been coming in time and again, trickling out of Afghanistan. Remember, even at a time such as this, the Taliban has taken control of the Kandahar radio station. It's also taken control of the Kandahar television station, which is why it's very hard for news to be disseminated from there as to what really is happening on the ground. Let me go across to Maruf Raza, who's joining us, the group consulting editor for the Times Network. Well, Maruf, many are saying we are on the brink of game over. What's your understanding of the situation?
Well, anybody who says otherwise obviously hasn't been following the news and is unaware of the facts of history, that the Taliban has in the past followed a similar pattern of takeover of Afghanistan in the 1990s. What is upsetting is that in 21 years of being in Afghanistan and creating absolute mayhem there with the lives of the local population, the United States in particular and its NATO allies have completely disappointed the international community in their inability to effectively put anything in place in the form of a reasonable structure that the people of Afghanistan could hope to prevent the takeover from Taliban. They've spent a lot of money in arming and training the Afghan National Army, but the Afghan National Army had little choice to take on the Taliban because their families live in Afghanistan and not necessarily in secluded, barbed-wired cantonment areas like American and other NATO forces lived in. So they created a little secure zone for themselves and left the population to fend for themselves. You cannot win a conflict of this nature by doing a piecemeal operation or not engaging with the local population in a hearts and minds winnowing game. And most importantly, there was no strategic aim that America and NATO allies had there other than doing away with whom they believed were behind the 9/11 attacks, and that's also questionable, that came from Afghanistan. Secondly, Pakistan, that has been a pillar of the Taliban, has created the Taliban, and I dare say with the blessings of the United States, Pakistan is the one basically which is manipulating this operation and totally arming, leading and training the Taliban. The Taliban is just like any other army that the Pakistan army fields, only they are in shalwar kurta and turbans. But many of them are regular and retired Pakistanis.
دغه وضعیت له امله بېځایه شویو هیوادوالو ته لازمه رسیدګي وکړو. د افغانستان د امنیتي او دفاعي ځواکونو د میلان او زړورتیا درناوی کوم چې د خپل ولس او وطن د دفاع په لاره کې په قوي هوډ ودرېدل. له خپل ولس نه هم مننه کوم چې د خپلو امنیتي او دفاعي ځواکونو ترڅنګ په کلکه ولاړ دي. په اوسني وضعیت کې د امنیتي او دفاعي قواو بیا انسجام زموږ لومړیتوب دی او په دې هکله جدی اقدامات تر لاس لاندې دي. در حالی که میدانم که از حال و آیندهتان نگران هستید، برایتان اطمینان میدهم که به عنوان رئیس جمهورتان تمرکز من بر این است تا از گسترش بیشتر بی‌ثباتی، خشونت و آوارگی مردمم جلوگیری کنم. به عنوان یک رسالت تاریخی تلاش میکنم تا نگذارم جنگ تحمیل شده بر مردم افغانستان بیشتر از این باعث کشتار مردم بیگناه، از دست رفتن دستاوردهای 20 ساله شما، تخریب تأسیسات عامه و بی‌ثباتی دوامدار شود. به همین دلیل مشورت‌های گسترده را در داخل دولت با بزرگان و رهبران سیاسی، نمایندگان اقشار مختلف مردم افغانستان و همکاران بین‌المللی ما آغاز کردم.
Well, that of course is the Afghan president making a statement. We are going to get you details of what exactly it is said. Of course, the Afghan media has been speculating that he may offer to resign. Maruf, it seems like a doomsday scenario which seems to be played out. You are absolutely right. In the last 21 years, the NATO allies, especially the United States, completely failing in its promise to try and put up even a semblance of a democratic structure in Afghanistan. But what happens from here onwards at this stage? What can nations do other than make big speeches and posturing and call out Pakistan and the role that they are playing in backing the Afghanistan? Realistically speaking, is there a ceasefire possible to be pushed in diplomatically?
Well, to start with, and the Americans are again at fault with this, they should stop giving Taliban respectability by talking to them, the so-called Doha peace talks and whatever else, and put them back where they are, and they send them back to Afghanistan and ask them to live within the mess they've created. Secondly, the international community in general and America and some of its friends in particular should immediately impose sanctions on Pakistan, because the evidence about Pakistan supporting and arming and orchestrating this entire mess in Afghanistan is been with the Americans all along. And I remember 25 years ago me bringing this up in front of Americans in public domain, and they would just ignore the question. They didn't want to talk about it because they used Pakistan as a toehold to have their own ego satisfied in Afghanistan by bombing people who were unarmed and had nothing to do with 9/11. Those guys who were doing something in 9/11 and attacked America were, as we found out in the case of Osama bin Laden and others, were sheltered by the Pakistan army. And you call Pakistan America's biggest non-NATO military ally. The Americans are completely at disaster when dealing with geostrategic issues. Do you know there are more think tanks in Washington than there are tanks in the British Army, and they still get everything wrong. And that is what is upsetting, that you penalize Pakistan and the Taliban will be
Absolutely.
tamed. And the third thing is, use the Quad countries.
They've been getting it all wrong. They've been getting it wrong across the decades and through various dispensations also who've been coming to power, and that is the problem. In fact, do stay on with us, Maruf. Also joining us here, one of the Afghan experts on our show, Major General B.K. Sharma is the Director of USI of India. Now, General Saab, we've been just discussing as to what really are the alternatives for the rest of the nation. What can, for example, India do? This is happening in Pakistan's backyard. This is going to strategically impact India, and there are no two ways about it. What should we and what could we do at this moment?
At this juncture, we have to be very alive to the fact that India's options are very, very limited. I would say that the first and the foremost thing we should see that no harm comes to our people and our mission there. So self-preservation is extremely important. In the meanwhile, there is no harm while we espouse that the whole process should be democratic, and we should say if there is an intra-Afghan consensus on power sharing, we should give our support to that, and whichever regime comes there in power, if international community accepts that, India will also sort of render its support as it has been doing in the past. But we need to open our channels more vigorously with Taliban in whatever form they are, to extract three concessions or three assurances from them. And the first one is that they should not selectively target our missions and our people. Second, they should give us assurance like they have given to the Chinese that the territory of Afghanistan will not be permitted to provide safe haven to India-centric groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. And third, that India would be more than willing to participate in the reconstruction of Afghanistan under any new dispensation. In the meanwhile, I think we are in a very good position today, having been in the chair of United Nations Security Council, and we need to build up a consensus there amongst the Committee of Nations that it is high time, keeping in view the unprecedented humanitarian crisis there. UN has a responsibility to protect, and therefore all the effort of peace building and security scenario there should be under the aegis of United Nations.
You've made very relevant point and 3-point way forward for India. We'll come back and discuss that, but Srinjoy Chaudhary also joining us, our National Affairs editor. Now, Srinjoy, you must explain to us, even as we speak, President Ghani is holding a press conference. I believe there are some flashes which are coming in now. He said that the country is in serious danger of instability and that we have begun extensive consultations at home and abroad, and the results are going to be shared with the public soon. What seems to be the way forward? Because Afghanistan media still now continues to say that he may, at the end of this address, offer to resign.
Yes, that's quite possible. What could happen is a power sharing agreement between the Taliban. And one of the factors there, the Taliban would insist that President Ghani resigns. That could be one of the major issues involved. So President Ghani would have to resign if there is a power sharing agreement with the Taliban. That is quite possible. What has happened is that his troops have not, in some cases, been fighting at all. They've just been melting away as soon as the Taliban arrived. Only the special forces, the commandos, and the intelligence department's police forces have fought as well as they have, which is why there has been such a problem. But it has to be said that the Afghan forces theoretically are larger than the Taliban. So if you look at why there is a meltdown, you have to ask yourself whether a huge amount of fighting actually took place or not. When cities are captured, as we have seen, there is often street-to-street fighting. Soldiers fight for rooms. Here, a city like the Kandahar, a city as big as Kandahar or Herat, just falls in a day. Now there has to be something wrong here, and clearly President Ghani will have to take part of the responsibility. And as part of this power sharing agreement, which is being worked out in Doha perhaps, and with the Taliban and everyone else involved, President Ghani may have to resign and hand over power to someone else, someone more acceptable to the Taliban, or directly to the Taliban, perhaps. Nobody knows exactly what is going to happen, but it is a very, very unusual situation, and we can expect a resignation by President Ghani very, very shortly.
Well, very shortly, we are keeping an eye out on what really is happening there, even in the very latest which is coming in. What we do know is that he has said that the country is in serious danger of instability right now. Maruf, if I can come back to you, a very interesting point which was made by Major General B.K. Sharma about what happens, what next India can be looking at. Srinjoy tells us there's a possibility that President Ghani may be forced to step down. There may be power sharing of some kind with the Taliban. How is India going to reconcile with it? It's made it very clear and has re-emphasized it time and again that India is not going to recognize any rule which is being set up by threats with power and with violence.
You see, Srinjoy has made some very good points, and I am completely in agreement with him, except on one issue where I feel that I don't think President Ghani has a future. Neither do any of the people who have been in governments that have been put up and posted by American blessings over the years in Afghanistan. I think they'll be lucky to get away with their lives if they're not found hanging on the streets. As in the past, President Najibullah was found hanging, who was propped up by the Russians. Now, the same thing I'd like to also take forward by what General Sharma has said under the auspices of the UN. You see, the UN is a toothless organization. it is the world's most overrated, overpaid debating society. And all they do is keep talking over the comfort of the horseshoe table in New York and try and come up with some, ambiguous statement which they expect the world to interpret and decipher. This is the time to be decisive. Here is a humanitarian disaster waiting to happen. And I'm not just talking of, food shortages and disease. I'm talking of people being slaughtered on the streets. The Taliban has done it in the past. You have to do everything under your umbrella to make sure that the Taliban buckles down. And one way to ensure the security and safety of President Ghani and his regime is you hold Taliban's peace negotiators as hostage there till these people are allowed to get away from there with their lives intact. Secondly, there is a Quad. The Quad is another damn talking shop, and everyone is trying to give it some kind of a role, combined with America, Japan, Australia, and India. You keep talking about Quad, you keep having Quad conferences, and the Quad itself doesn't know what role it can play. Give it a role to play in Afghanistan. You cannot enforce peace without a carrot.
That's an interesting observation that you've made. Stay with us. A quick word also I want from General Sharma before we take a break. General Sharma, the latest coming in, President Ghani has said that he's not going to allow the imposed war on Afghans to bring further killings, the loss of gains in the last 20 years, destruction of public property and continued instability. What, as per you, or rather which organization, who really is going to be taking the lead to try and bring about some kind of semblance at least of peace?
See, these are all rhetoric at this stage. While Kabul's fall is imminent, all this means very little. Actually, one thing which is a foregone conclusion is that Ghani may not be able to remain in the power. Now, what power sharing arrangement they are able to stitch together, there are a lot of uncertainties about that. But having seen Afghanistan from a very close quarters, I don't think any power sharing arrangement has any longevity in Afghanistan, because there is not going to be any guarantor of the ceasefire. Then the biggest sticking point there is the amendment to the constitution, the debate between Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and Emirat. And third is, who is going to demobilize and disarm all these armed cadres? Will the guns and all, everything will remain with the Taliban or with the Afghan National Defense Security Forces, who've been at loggerhead for 20 years? And look at the ethnic construct of that. Mostly it's the non-Pashtuns who are dominating the leadership positions in Afghan National Defense and Security Forces. Then is the adjustment within the polity itself, because there are more than 50% people which are non-Pashtun. And within that, there are different ethnicity. To bring them together onto a common table, I think it is a utopia. It's the juncture. What I feel, Taliban may capture power by force, but the civil war is going to linger on.
Right. Civil war will linger on, and it's a dystopia to even think that there could be any kind of semblance. Unfortunate news which is coming in. We are on the brink of, many are calling it, no return. Thank you so much, General Sharma, as well as Maruf, for joining us, as well as Srinjoy. We are tracking all the developments across in Afghanistan closely. For the timing, a short break. Don't go anywhere.